Coming up on Added Time, brought to you by Tab.
And I reckon if 90% of our football world were born overseas, everyone would be in big clubs.
That first half against Crystal Palace were the better team.
Yes.
But in the past, the game would have been gone.
I say tactics is probably 5% of the game. The rest is mental, physical.
So all of a sudden, you've got a team where they know what the expectation is. He's forcing it on them. He's making them do it every day in training. He's got a strong mentality himself, and now you're starting to see it.
For me, the biggest thing in the club is alignment. If you're not all aligned, don't take the job.
You've got the best crosser of the world in Fernandes.
Yeah.
Let's not take all day every time like Man City. When we get there, get the ball into him, and all of a sudden he's got service.
Oh, not a Villa fan this week, are we?
Oh, Manchester
What happened last Saturday morning? Added time, special guest this week with Foz and Boz, Patrick Kisnorbo, player of great note through England a lot, and here in Australia, and coached here, there and everywhere, and this week you just decided to bring your coffee in and have a chat about football with us.
Yeah, welcome to the show, mate.
Guys.
Welcome to the show.
Very privileged, thank you.
Pleasure having you here. I thought we'd start, I know you probably have to repeat this story about 100 times, but it must, because it's really part of your story as well. 16 years ago, third round FA Cup against Manchester United at Old Trafford. Right. I think they're massive rivals, obviously, and Leeds are in the Premier League now, but at that time there was 42 places between the two sides. Tell us about it. We've got so many Leeds supporters who watch the program who want to hear it.
Yeah, I think at the start of the sort of before the game, we were coming first in League One, and we had a lot of confidence, knowing going to Old Trafford against world-class players, how difficult it would be. But there was a no fear, nothing to lose sort of scenario, and pretty much the gaffer said, "Listen, someone go and create history," and lucky enough, Jermaine Beckford did that. But credit when credit's due, I thought we held our own. There was a couple of chances which Manchester United will always get, but we could have scored a couple more. And again, it was a surreal moment for an Australian from Melbourne, but something that I'll never forget.
You were marking Rooney Berbatov that day. Was Wayne getting the irrits towards the end of that one? Frustrated?
Yeah, I tried to stay on Berbatov a bit more. He was the slower one. But yeah, look, we knew that at the start it was going to be hard, and you just had to do what you had to do to make them frustrate them, and again, we were lucky enough to score and hold on and win 1-0 away.
And so then you moved into coaching, of course. You had a decorated record, Paddy, and with Melbourne City and others. Tell us about kind of that journey, what you took out of there. I know that you went and did your licences back over where you were playing and so on, and where you're at now. Yeah,
look, I think the great thing is that, I started from the bottom, so I had to learn how to, manage players and manage kids instead of going straight to the top, which was a fantastic learning curve for me. And lucky enough, Melbourne City gave me that opportunity after I played. And I coached the kids, then I went to women's football, which I had to learn how to manage, which is probably the hardest thing. Player manage, yeah, which is probably the hardest thing that I've had to do, because the women are quite smart. So when they ask you questions you don't know the answer, they know straight away that you're
you don't know.
So I had
Jesus, sounds familiar at home. Sorry.
So you couldn't lie. Yeah. So look, they taught me a lot, and look, again, I worked with some fantastic players, and then obviously I got the assistant coach role with Warren Joyce and Eric Montbart, and then I got myself the opportunity as a head coach, and the rest is history.
Yeah, well, and you were very successful as well.
Very successful. Again, I think that time we were, going through some stuff, beforehand. And I think Warren started the trend of, we're here just to work hard, and started the culture of let's just work. Don't worry about the sort of image of the way we play, and he instilled that with the team. Then Eric brought the sort of the methodology, the style, and then with me, I sort of
finished it,
put it all together, and with some great recruitment and support, sort of did what we had to do.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you about as well, you actually started the academy at Melbourne City, which is you would say it's one of the most highly rated, if not the most highly rated academy here. Well, did they just give you a blank check? I don't mean that financially, but they just turn around and say, right, Paddy, this is up to you. Go ahead and do it.
No, I think at the start they sort of want to know, like, what does a Melbourne City team look like and what's it represent, and how can we get our players through playing to the first team. I think that was the biggest thing, because as you know, in our game, you couldn't buy players, and financial restraints are quite hard. So we wanted to develop within our own. So one thing that was noticeable, we all had to play the same way. So when they get to the first team,
they know what
it was clear. So
and that was provided from head office
straight up
down through all of their clubs.
So the city group wanted that, so we started that.
Yeah.
Next thing we started to do was, can we play these kids a bit older than play at the same level? Because we knew...
Put them up early.
Correct. So we knew like a 14-year-old in our system compared to maybe a 14-year-old in another system, it's too easy. So we had to challenge them physically, mentally, emotionally, tactically, all that sort of stuff. And then we built. And as you know now, Melbourne City have a great academy, great coaches in there, but also we had to bring great kids and great people.
Yeah,
that was the main thing. We needed coachable kids, parents that were on board.
Okay, so it's culture as well.
It had to be, because we have that in the first team, so they had to carry our values.
Okay,
And I remember a story. Barcelona came to Melbourne City one day, and we were talking about like culture and stuff, and they have taxi drivers that drive the kids to the training, and they were saying even in the taxi drivers were talking about how privileged you are to be at the club, how lucky you are.
Yes.
So the information is always getting told to the kids how important and how lucky you are to be at Barcelona. So we wanted to sort of carry that on, in Australia.
Yeah. What about you personally, Paddy? Did you have to change your mode because you're working with younger kids? You had to. Well, hang on a minute. If we're talking to Boz, I can talk to him in a different way than I can to a very impressionable 14, 15, 16-year-old kid.
Yeah, at the start, I probably didn't do that, so I had to learn as I got older that I had to tone it down. Yeah. And I have no qualms saying that.
No, this is passion coming out.
But again, it is because, in my head, and I'm different, that I think everyone in Australia can make it. And that's what I had. I want to create players that can play overseas, and I want to do that for everyone. Realistically, you can't. But I did. I had to learn how to communicate in a different way, so players or kids would understand.
You've had some. Sorry, Foz. You had some overseas experiences as well with your coaching. So you have it here, and you came back and had Melbourne Victory. But in the middle, you went to Troyes, which was part of the City Football Group. In France, Yokohama, which then was part of City Football Group. Steve Holland was there. We'll get to Manchester in a moment because he's there now. But those experiences there, because you look at so many people, it's so easy to look at a resume and go, oh, they went to Troyes for a bit, didn't quite work out what happened there, but the story underneath that is actually fascinating. Different experiences culturally.
Correct. So Manchester have two clubs. One was Lommel in Belgium, and one was Troyes. And their main objective was to bring in younger players, develop them, and then sell them. And sort of create a conveyor belt of talent and disperse them around the world or within the City Group in Manchester, where I came from winning. I came from a club that we wanted to win. So that was great in learning or coaching young, great kids, but also there was relegation. There was playing against...
Consequences.
Playing against older players, experience. These kids were great, but weren't ready for that. But in saying that, I think now they've gone to where we sort of suggested 6 years ago, where adapted,
rebalanced.
Correct. Okay. So we have some older kids and sort of try and bring a couple of younger ones, which now I think is working.
Yeah, and it's invaluable too, I think, as a younger player to have experienced players in that dressing room. You'll know that.
Correct.
Fozzie know that.
Yeah.
To have experienced players in that dressing room that you can learn off as well.
Definitely. Look, again, we all learn from experienced players, and that's who taught us. In my team, my captain was 19. And they're going to make mistakes, and they're going to go through hard times. But they also needed some guidance on the pitch with some older players to say, listen, it's okay. Just keep going. But we didn't have that. We just had younger players who were great talents, but needed to be mixed in with some older players.
So we have what we would call a golden generation of coaches at the moment, who are now going around the world. You see Muskie, you see what Ange's done, a whole range of coaches, and all of a sudden Australian coaches can emigrate. To whether it's to Japan or to Korea or to even EPL, and in China with Muskie going well and so on. I remember saying, when I was doing a pro licence a few years ago to Eric Abrams, who was the TD here, said to him, listen, one of the things about Australian coaches is that because the players aren't completely formed, they have to work twice as hard as coaches anywhere else in the world. So what they're developing is the skills to be able to get the technical habits of the players and the tactical system and put the two together. This is effectively what you saw from Ange, Graham Arnold and so on, right? Is that true in your view? And why else are Australian coaches now starting to be desirable to not just Asia, but also European?
Well, I think with Australian coaches, we have to do everything.
Yeah.
So like you said, we have to do the technical bit, the physical bit.
Carry the balls.
you laugh.
Sometimes,
Just a quick story. In France, they expected the coach to pump the balls up.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because of me, I don't know. But we have to learn so much because we've got to do double the things here that when you go overseas, you've got those things provided, but you've built the base for yourself to understand it. You know, and I think, and again, I'll give credit when credit's due, coaches in Australia, they're technically very good and tactically very good.
I agree.
They understand the game better than a lot of people think.
Very true.
And that's where I think we're fortunate.
Manchester United.
Yes.
It folds into the discussion. Calm down. Or not a Villa fan this week, are we?
Well, Manchester
What
United
happened
won
last
and
Saturday night?
Aston Villa and Chelsea lost, so I've got that luxury.
So Manchester United, and this is on coaching because you work with a gentleman over in Yokohama who you were the assistant to, Steve Holland, and he got let go by Yokohama and took over there. But knowing what he is, he looks to be a coach, and that's what Michael Carrick has brought him in for.
Correct.
Carrick has got his mates, Jonathan Woodgate, Johnny Evans there, who he knows well. Got a cabal almost of players who know the club, know what they want. What do you make of what Manchester United and can you see some details that say a guy like Steve Holland has brought in to settle it and improve them straight away?
I think first thing he brings in is experience. I think he's worked with a lot of players through his time and in the national teams where he can take the coaches and the players and sort of mould them towards, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that, right? So they've got someone to listen to who's been there for over 20 years. You got Michael Carrick, who's young, Jonathan Woodgate, Evans, right? Next thing I think is they've sort of gone back to a Man United way, where hard to beat, play on the counter attack, and when you get results, belief comes, and consistency comes, and cohesion comes, and that's what you're seeing. So that the players and the team are playing through belief. You know, and again, I say tactics is probably 5% of the game. The rest is mental, physical, and I think they've got that at the moment. And it's been great work from himself to guide Manchester United in a way where they should be.
Yeah.
There was
Absolutely outstanding.
Well, he flipped it straight away, didn't he? So Amorim had his way, and that was well talked about.
Yeah.
Michael Carrick comes in. You can see it pretty clearly.
Paddy's made two great points in what he's just said. Simplicity. And I think really, you know, like I said, from a tactical perspective, we all know about Ruben Amorim's problems that he had with not being flexible enough to move from that back three. He tweaked it a couple of times, but you could tell he wasn't happy with it. And the man management, which we didn't touch on, but that's probably the hardest thing to actually do. Allowing players to be themselves, to play where they're comfortable in playing, okay? Because that is important. Remember, the environment you're in any walk of life, you feel happy in yourself, you're going to perform better. And you can see that. Now, on the weekend, ironically, and this is another thing that Paddy's touched on, that first half against Crystal Palace were the better team.
Yes.
But in the past, Man United were 1-0 down from Lacroix's header right at the start. They would have been 2, maybe 3. The game would have been gone. All of a sudden, okay, the red card did change a little bit, but they showed what they used to show in the past to say, like, okay, we're not playing at our best, but you always had that feeling watching them. They're going to not only get back into this game, which they did, but win it. And like I said, you know, look at Benjamin Seschko. He's got like 6 goals in the last 7 games. You know, really is outstanding. They've got a massive test coming up, all jokes aside, against Newcastle away, which is a massive test for any team.
What do you mean all jokes aside?
Oh, you know how I always mess around, mate. Like, you know, Newcastle.
I know what you mean.
Did you beat Quarabag in the end? Yeah, you did.
Force.
In the Champions League.
What's the key characteristic that you can see?
I would say maybe just like the psychology of the team even, because what would happen is he's got the team immediately, he's put the players in the right positions, which makes a good, makes a big impact. But also I think he's managed Fernandez well, because he's now top player in the Premier League by far. Like, well, the way he's performing is unbelievable, and he's already very good. He's brought Mainu in, he's done all that, but the problem with Manchester United was always they could win one game, and then when they're under pressure, they would just melt under the environment. The environment was too much for the team, and often it was too much for the coach. Whereas he's walked in and he can clearly keep the team strong in every moment that they're facing, right? So he's not worried about the Manchester United fans, the criticism that he's going to get in the press conference, which many will be. And so all of a sudden you see a team with a very different mentality, completely different. In fact, I know they were leading, but in the 98th minute of the game against Crystal Palace, Xerxes lost the ball. It's a stupid pass in the final third, and he immediately responded and started sprinting back. The ball went over into their half, Manchester United's half, all the way over to their right-hand side, and there was 4 players, including Xerxes, who was playing on the left, sprinted all the way over, and Casemiro ended up making a challenge, right? And that was not happening. So all of a sudden, you've got a team where they know what the expectation is. He's forcing it on them. He's making them do it every day in training. He's got a strong mentality himself, and now you're starting to see it because they have. And now you've got Mainu performing. You know, you've got Ahmad performing brilliantly, and all of a sudden, everyone is performing on a different level. I think my question to Paddy is around that environment. Like, you know, you're in France, you're in Japan, and so on. Often for a coach, it's the management of the group is critically important.
Yes.
But what brings many coaches down is actually the club environment and the media environment.
Yeah.
It's that whole, like, there's many good technical coaches. This is why a lot of top class coaches stay as assistants.
Yes.
Because they walk in there and go, I just cannot deal with all, like the chair, the board, the sporting director, the media. Like, how important or how difficult can that environment be?
I think extremely. I think if you don't know about that before going in and there's problems, I think you're in trouble straight away. You know, and you can see that at Tottenham, I think. You know, Tottenham's the perfect example of, you know, they get rid of one coach who won something, Aaron Ange. Yeah. They brought in another, think it's going to fix it. They bring in another whose pedigree, I think, Tudor is fantastic. And now it's...
They're talking about sacking him as well.
So, like, you know, for me, like with everything, I think it starts at the top. But if you don't know what you're walking into, it can be very difficult. And it's sometimes a snowball effect. You can't control it. Doesn't matter what you do, how you do it. And also, I think with Michael Carrick, he's a Man United player. He was excellent.
Legend.
He brought everyone in that club that knew the DNA and brought him in. So they know what the club is about. They know what's probably up the top. They know how to manage certain things. Bit easier to maybe Amaron, where he's coming from Sporting Lisbon. Well, I think he's a great coach, but different dynamic, different expectation. You know, he's the new thing, but everything changed.
How important it is? You spoke about, Adam spoke about all the players, like the people who are around him. How important is it as a manager to get your people around you?
Of course, you probably they're probably doing like, hey, come on, Woodgate, come on.
You know, what about? I'll give you an example. If the chairman or whoever's doing
if
the sporting director, chairman, whoever's doing negotiations with you, and they say you can bring your own team, but I want this man. Do you know straight away that man is the one that's going to report?
Well, you already know there's alarm bells.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, if again at that level, everyone brings their own, and you know why. If there's someone that's staying, you sort of question because you think, hang on a minute, like.
So trust in your environment is critical.
It's critical.
If once people undermine each other, the players see it.
Yes, you're done. I think you're done because little things get out, as you know. Little things happen. Little things sort of turn, and you think, well, what's happened here?
What about compromise? You go in and you want to do it in a particular way, and then all of a sudden the ownership of the club, and then, you know, they're trying to force different things on you that you would prefer not to do. But people need to be in a job, so it must be difficult for coaches at times to remain with, you know, this is the ideal, the perfect. I know I can succeed like this,
yes,
but I've got these constraints.
And that's why, for me, the biggest thing in the club is alignment. If you're not all aligned, don't take the job, because you're not going to succeed. Something along the way will happen, and then they'll start blaming this and blaming that, and then it's like, well, you know, you're in trouble.
But a lot of coaches are kind of like, I'll work with that when I get in. Like, I need a job.
Oh,
so I am worried, but
yes.
I'm going to take it, and then I'm going to try and clean it.
Again, I think the perfect example is Ange.
Yeah,
with Nottingham Forest. You know,
exactly.
I'll fix it.
I'll fix it.
I'll take the punt. That when I'm in, I can manage it.
Correct. And then what happens is, you know, he says it himself was probably a mistake.
Yeah.
You know, but you only realise that when.
Yeah, or you make
You haven't won a game
that
yet.
choice. Or you know it could be a problem.
Correct.
But you say, I believe that I can manage it. It's not like it comes out of nowhere. You know the club is problematic already.
Yes.
But you make that choice.
But that's why people like Mourinho are the best.
Right.
Because they know how to do it. You know, he goes to Turkey, he can manage Chelsea, he can manage...
So it's the management
around
managing up.
Yeah.
Correct. And he knows there's certain things, but he knows how to do it. And I think that's fantastic with him.
So how do Australian coaches learn that? Like, what is I guess part of the pro licence? They're all going in now into the professional environment, doing this. But also, my final question, I know you want to move on, but so this is the first time that Australia's ever had guys like you and Ange and Arnie in Iraq and all of these things. Is Australian football turning to you when you're in those positions and saying, listen, we're going to send everyone over, or you need to come back and lecture everyone? Because I know this is what happened in Italy, right? In Coverciano, once you come back, you have to lecture to everyone.
Yeah.
I've been in France, and this is what France is doing, and this is what we need to be worried about, because you can help the game as well as the coaches.
Well, it's the first time I'm stalking, so I haven't really spoken to anyone.
The answer is no.
From Australia,
Cool.
you know what I mean?
No worries.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
They're all watching this for nothing, see?
Free advice.
They're right
Some spare time at the moment. He loves a cappuccino with one sugar. Give the man a call.
How much is that? That's $4. They can save $4. They can just listen to the show. By saving $4, you get your subscription. Yeah.
Back to Manchester United. Oddly enough, it's a wild concept, but I get the feeling that they've got better by playing their best player in his best position. I mean, it's incredible.
It's not.
It's just incredible.
But how good is he?
Bruno Fernandes.
Simplicity.
And the other thing is, what about Sesko? So you talk about Sesko, Boz is right. Like, we both liked him, and when they signed him, we thought, because we saw him at Red Bull, right? And we're saying this kid could be unbelievable. How many crosses are they putting in now to him? So the other thing about Carrick is you've got the best crosser of the world in Fernandes, who's working those spaces, and he's saying, mate, let's not take all day every time like Man City. When we get there, get the ball into him, and all of a sudden he's got service.
We all know, look, that is man management, because we all know, we've been in teams before, that there are personality clashes, right?
Yeah, always.
And when there is personality clashes, we also all know, and we're going really deep here now, that sometimes maybe, you know, unfortunately, and my old physio, Jim Walker at Aston Villa, actually did this study one year, that players who don't really like each other have a tendency not to pass the ball to somebody as they do like, right?
Sure.
But this is where the man management comes in.
Totally.
All right, so regardless of what, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but like you just said, you saw Bruno Fernandes for the Seshko's goal. He didn't have any second thought.
No.
Doesn't matter. It was going
and
one
now he's
place
getting
and one
practice.
place.
All of a sudden, he knows. He's already got the tools.
Especially for people like strikers who rely on service.
He's 190, I think. Yeah. He's only 22 years old. Yeah. Came from a great sort of upbringing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, brilliant.
And again, it's probably simple. Wide, cross it in. Wide, simple tactics.
That's all.
You know what I mean?
I mean, they've got the rest. You know,
Correct.
The fullbacks, they've got all that stuff. But the thing is, this is a particular profile of a number 9, and when we play him, we have to play to him. Yeah. Right. Carrick at least knows that.
Yeah, I think it was, remember Collar? It was 6'6" at Borussia Dortmund, underlegt, get the ball wide, cross.
Not even Berbatov's a good example.
You know what I mean?
Not that day Berbatov against Leeds, it wasn't.
I'm
trying everything. I'm trying everything.
No, the other one.
Paddy with his headband kicking ball ahead.
Not that day, it wasn't.
Still to come on Added Time, brought to you by Tab.
Actually having a crack at rugby league, saying you changed too many rules, and he pointed to me. He was with me. He said, "Look at football, the most popular game in the world, and they've hardly changed anything since that time." As I said to him the other day, it's like every year there seems to be another rule. Now it's this one.
Well, that game on the weekend.
Yeah, I agree.
There was nearly 12 minutes taken while corners were
Arsenal
taken.
are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
12 minutes.
Okay, well the VAR then says, oh, it's just your fingertip. Sorry, it's just your shoulder off. It's only that much. Well, it's that much, mate. Well, stay behind the line then.
The game I've chosen is FA Cup 5th round.
Yes, Wrexham Chelsea.
It is Sunday morning. Thanks, Boz. I was leading up to that.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, because all of us in Australia got our eye on Spurs now. It's a bit like watching a terminal patient. You know, it's like it's a bit macabre.
IFAB, our good friends at.
Yes.
Hey, they thought, oh, geez, we're bored. We haven't changed anything in 6 months. Let's change about 5 different other things. So, to briefly spin through it, I want your thoughts here, all of you guys, because it feels like they're trying to quicken the game up, and then they say, oh, by the way, we might get VAR involved in things, which is counterintuitive. Anyway, throw-ins and goal kicks, there might be time. There'll be a 5-second visual countdown when the ref decides, no, you're taking too long. Time-limited substitutions. I like this one, 10 seconds, your board goes up, you've got 10 seconds to get off, otherwise that player can't come on for a certain
until
amount
the
of
next
time.
break.
So we're going to have players like sprinting to make the 10 seconds.
Until the next break.
Diving off.
Off-field treatment and assessment. So you have to go off for 1 minute. That's a bit of a sketchy one as well. Protocol developments about checking a incorrect second yellow card, a incorrectly awarded corner kick. A few leagues are pushing back on this one. And another one that's been mooted is the old Wenger offside rule. So Canada, and I've got a fair feeling that James Johnson, the ex-Football Australia boss, put his hand up and said, yeah, let's get involved in this. Let's be the trial because we'll have focus on our league, Canadian Premier League. They're going to trial it so it's going away from what the current offside rule is to the attacking player. If there's daylight in between the attacking player and the defender behind him or her, then that's offside. Okay. That to me just shifts the micro-isms that are being placed from one thing to another. Sure. But that will change the fabric of the game and how defenders are going to defend. Overall, guys, do you like the concept of trying to quicken the game up?
Yeah, overall, yes, but I think you just got to be a little bit careful that you don't change it too much. When I first came back to Australia in 2008, ironically, I was doing a TV show with a rugby league great, Brad Fittler, who I'd grown up with. We played cricket together. And funny enough, in that show, he was actually having a crack at rugby league, saying, you changed too many rules. And he pointed to me, he was within it, he said, look at football, the most popular game in the world, and they've hardly changed anything. Since that time, as I said to him the other day, it's like every year there seems to be another rule. Now it's this one. So you just got to be a little bit careful. And the other thing I will say from a playing perspective, and especially you two, and though that's being outfield players, our game goes in gears from first to sixth, whatever you want. So sixth gear being high intensity and all that. If you don't have a chance to recuperate after you've done something high intensity, the game will just be a sub-maximal game. You know what I mean by that? It'll be played at a three-quarter pace a little bit because people will be concerned, especially if it comes to World Cups being played in the summer, about running out of gas. Now I know there's 5 substitutes, okay, but still, you've got to have the opportunity in a game to reset, to have a breather. It might not even be wasting time. So you've just got to make sure you're doing consultation with the current players and the current managers, because they're the ones at the coalface who are making those decisions and are participating. So that's the important thing so far as I'm concerned. I understand where they're coming from, good premise. Arsene Wenger's idea, I'm not 100% certain about it. I'd love to hear what Paddy's got to say because he was a defender. But just be a bit wary, that's all. Don't change too many things. It's the most popular game in the world for a reason.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to hear from you about VAR, what you think about it, what coaches generally think about it, whether it's in the A-League or elsewhere. You guys obviously talk about it all the time. And also we're talking about time wasting. Like how many tactics did you have to time waste? You must have had a few.
Yeah, but I think it's just part of our game. Everyone takes a longer goal kick. Everyone takes
corners,
a longer throw in, a longer corner. Look, if you only got 10 seconds, so if they're saying 10 seconds, that means
for a sub to get off.
No, for a corner.
For a corner.
They want to limit.
Corners were left out actually.
Yep.
Right.
It was goal kicks and throw-ins.
Goal kicks and throw-ins.
But how do you want to have a long throw? That means defenders are going to run up. You've only got 10 seconds. It's just...
So Arsenal Chelsea on the weekend. Declan Rice had a long throw just before half time. You know how long it took him from when the ball went out to when?
Can I guess? 8 minutes.
No.
46 seconds.
Yeah, but so that's why there's stoppage time. Just stop it and then add it on.
I know, but the fans are having to sit through. So
I
the
get
fans
it.
are going to be there
that
like
changes the fabric.
2.5 hours.
It makes it like I get Boz's point. You don't want to make it 100% full out the whole 90 minutes. But you're having these 45-second breaks every time a corner is taken.
I get it. Look, I understand it. I think it's been part of it. If you change, I agree with Boz. If you change too many things, I think we lose our sort of fabric of the game. But I understand certain things, but also I think VAR intervenes too much.
Okay, so what is your view on VAR? Would you like to do away with it, or do you think it has had some positive?
It's got positive. I think in terms of goal, I think the way our game is now and the way teams are spending money, you're this close from winning or losing.
Exactly.
We're inches. So if that inch helps you win...
Exactly. Did you have times when the goal was not given or something had happened and then all of a sudden it was given, or the goals were there and then it went to VAR and you were given it?
Well, you had that one.
Then it worked in your favour.
I remember
you had that one.
You were calling the game, I think, when I was coaching, when Melbourne City and Birighitti had the penalty and Tom Glover caught it and they gave the penalty. Then VAR checked it and they didn't give the penalty and we won 1-0.
Okay.
I think that's really important because you need to see what actually happens.
And that made the game fairer in your view?
Well, we won, right?
Yeah.
But end of the day, they get to see or question, say, okay, did this, because if you're on the other foot, you'd be like this, well, you need to check it. But if you're intervening little tackles, little this, it's
a
just
question of what?
It's way too much. I think
Because
it's going to be
there's so
simple.
much riding on. I mean, your entire job is riding on it. Your
Correct.
title is riding on these
Yes.
moments.
Yeah.
And so it's giving an opportunity to make sure they are correct,
Yes.
which I like.
Yes.
But I think everyone realises that it's just going too far.
It's going too far.
And it's taking too long.
Way too
so
long.
how do you get a balance?
I don't know. You got 3 people up and looking at the cameras, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, well,
Yeah, they're waiting.
yeah.
What's
And
the-
then what I don't get is that they look at it, then they ask the referee to check the screen.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
haven't you got a better view than the referee? So
It's the management of
Yeah.
it.
But you've had that personal experience. I remember that famous goal you scored. I think Jerry Taggart was your manager at Leicester when they disallowed the goal, and it was a goal. So you've been on both sides.
Probably, yeah. I remember. That's a long time.
He remembers the coaching ones. Playing one, his livelihood wasn't on the line. His coaching one.
I remember
on the
that.
line, mate, they're very different.
But it's real. It's real. Look, that's reality. Like the coaching ones.
Yeah.
When you're a coach,
That can
it's
mean
so
your
much.
job.
It's
Everything's riding, yeah.
You're inches. Again. So I agree with some things, but some things also are too much.
I like the time limit ones. I like the fact that I don't want to see 46 seconds.
Yeah.
to take
Yeah,
a long
sure.
throw.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that game on the weekend,
Yeah, I agree with it.
there was nearly 12 minutes taken
Sure.
while corners
Yeah,
were
Arsenal
taken.
are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
12 minutes. So that to me takes
Yeah.
away from the fabric of the game, which is the best players deciding
Yeah.
it with their feet.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the game when
Sure.
everyone's a bit tired.
Yeah, I would speed the game up. We already spoke about that. I talked about
Yeah.
the throw-ins and all that stuff. But the question is how always, can it be enforced properly? Can it be enforced all the way down until
Without
VAR? The
overreaching.
beauty of the game was,
I think one thing that needs to be before
They're the
we move on,
questions.
one thing that needs to be looked at, and that's in view of what we saw between Arsenal and Chelsea, and what we've been seeing for quite some time now, is players that are purposely blocking defenders and goalkeepers
shocking.
on corners.
What about Rice?
It's getting out of hand. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's getting out
That
of
was
hand.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
No,
They
I think
used to do it
really,
for fun.
it really needs to, it's getting out of hand. Yeah.
But there's so many
That's getting
cameras
out of
now.
hand.
Of course.
Yeah, so
You
they
shouldn't
need
be able to get away.
be-
Did you see Rice?
I think
That's unbelievable.
I think it's too many.
Yeah.
I think so. That's what makes it, because so many options and so many views of it, it makes it even harder.
Yeah.
Like instead of making it
But
simpler.
Rice is come off his arm and in.
They scored from the following corner.
Yeah.
I know, but you
That's the
see
reason,
him
yeah.
like it's
I know,
just,
he's having cuddles. Very romantic.
That's something they've got to look at.
The offside one. So I've got a thought that actually it's going to help midfielders because it's just going to stretch the game.
Game.
So that attacker now has got that extra.
Some more running for them.
But as a
Great.
defender, do you look at that and go, "Oh my goodness, this is going to be a horror show"?
Yeah.
Try and judge where that attacker is behind you.
It's so hard. It's so hard, again, you've got to worry about one thing, another thing. I think if you just keep like this, it's simpler, it's easy, more compact.
Yeah, I
the game's
agree.
quicker.
I agree. I think that's a crazy one.
Yeah.
I see no point in doing it.
No.
And what people say is, okay, well, the VAR then says, oh, it's just your fingertip. It's just your shoulder off. It's only that much.
Yeah.
Well, it's that much,
Yeah,
mate. Well,
yeah.
stay behind the line then.
Yeah, of course. But you should
I
work-
like the precision of it.
I'm the same. You got to work on timing of runs. There you go.
Yeah, time it better.
That's it. That's what
You know
it's
what I
And
about.
plus, the defender's got you. Too bad,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah.
Like, what are you complaining about?
Correct. I agree.
Yeah.
You're going to end up defending inside 6 yards box. I've got him. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Paddy, you right? Yeah, all right. Okay. I'm here as well. Yeah. No, he's just there with a TV.
the water bottle of the goalkeeper.
But that's what I reckon affects the quality of our game. Because you'd be like this.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
I
means-
think that's
Well, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to create more time and space. But again, just with the same with the pendulum of life, don't go too far one way and then too far
Yeah,
the
of
other.
course.
Just stay there.
Yeah.
Let's get to Crystal Balls, brought to you
Yes.
by
Okay.
Tab. So we've got a few games to choose from. FA Cup, Premier League, that's on Stan Sport in the coming week. Asked you each to choose one. And
Okay.
Boz, you've gone to St James's Park.
Oh yes, why not? Well, look, let's be really frank here. I mean, Newcastle are pretty much approaching a relegation battle, so I really think this is going to be a difficult, tough place to go. It's one of those places that basically, if you win there, you know whatever you're going for, whether it be to survive, whether it be to get into Europe, Champions or title, that you're really on for that because this is such a tough place to go. Newcastle's form has been indifferent, although, like I said, they're in the final 16 of the Champions League, which is a superb achievement. We know from 2 seasons back, but they did struggle with mixing the Champions League.
Same as happening.
Okay, but not as bad. I don't think it's still as bad as it was.
Well, we're without our best player, Bruno Guimaraes.
Yeah. Okay. So
with
but,
a hamstring
yeah,
injury.
exactly.
So it's pretty tough.
Manchester United, like I said, out of the games that they've been undefeated in, ironically, the one on the weekend was one where they weren't quite at their best, but they still won. Sign of a very good side. A lot of people will say Lacroix sending off was a turning point. You couldn't argue with that. It's understandable. But I really think that in this scenario where Manchester United are really in a good way, it's going to be very difficult for Newcastle to beat them. So, if anything, a draw or a Manchester United win. Adam, do you want to add anything to that?
I'll just go to Craig Foster. Tottenham and Crystal Palace. That's the game you've chosen, Foz.
Yeah, because all of us in Australia got our eye on Spurs now. It's a bit like watching a terminal patient, you know. It's like it's a bit macabre because you know you think they're just going to get worse and worse and worse. I mean, a loss to Fulham was absolutely shocking. So that's why I'll be watching that or keeping an eye on it because they're in a position now. I don't think they're going to, as we said last week, but they could get relegated, and that would be
in that atmosphere though as well. And you've made mention a number of times. Tottenham Stadium at the moment.
Yeah.
When Spurs aren't playing
home,
well,
they're actually worse.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Grand piano on there.
They've got one of the worst home records in I'll have a look for you now. I think it's the second worst or the worst.
Yeah.
So 2-0 come in, 2 losses.
I think as a player you do. You know there's a lot of pressure. You know if it's one sort of goal against or a bad thing, the crowd, they're just waiting to turn, aren't they? They're just, it's not when, it's just they're waiting to turn. So it's a difficult scenario. Crystal Palace are a hard team to play. And if I'm the opposition coach, I'll be saying make it as hard as possible.
So that one Friday morning, 7 a.m.
Just a quick one for everyone. Just a quick, listen, one word answer. If Igor Tudor keeps losing, do they pull the trigger again? I don't think they've got any choice.
Well, they're going to. They already said they are.
I think they should. I think they would.
They're actually going to have to.
I don't know. Is
It
there
depends
anyone
on the ones below, right?
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, I don't think you've got any choice if he keeps losing.
But also, if they start taking points, because the ones below, I'm not sure how many points they're going to get.
4 points off
which is
West
why
Ham. It's only 4 points off West Ham.
I know. That's why we think they might survive.
Yeah.
Because they're not.
No, but I'm just saying, if Tudor keeps losing, I don't
so
think
if West Ham win and he keeps losing, he's basically gone.
Correct.
Because you may as well throw the dice and get someone else.
But will they wait for that?
I reckon Forrest will go back. He's one of my crystal balls. Forrest will go back for Ange.
So you reckon if they lose this next game, he could be gone?
I think he will be gone.
Because you've got to leave some games for the next.
There you go.
The game I've chosen is FA Cup 5th round.
Yes, Wrexham Chelsea.
It is Sunday morning. Thanks, Boz. I was leading up to that.
Sorry, mate.
The punchline.
Sorry about that.
Wrexham Chelsea.
Yes.
This is incredible. So Wrexham are in the playoff spots in the Championship. So they're going back to back promotions or whatever it is. Do you ever play there at the racecourse ground?
No, I haven't played.
It's you played there. Did you ever get there for Portsmouth or Palace? It's an incredible and you can see it happening with what that atmosphere will be like. You know what those smaller atmospheres are like. Chelsea.
It's possible.
Sometimes Chelsea look like they're going to win the Club World Cup every week, and sometimes they're going to struggle in League One. They're hard to pin.
They've done well, but on the weekend overall, I thought they were very good. I mean, towards the end as well, Arsenal held on a little bit. Rayo made a couple of great saves. They had a goal disallowed, and the only 3 games that Rossini's lost are to Arsenal. So there's no shame in that. So. A big game for both, like you said, a very, very big game. But wouldn't it be a wonderful story? Wrexham not only winning this game, but what you said before, getting promoted. After going consecutive years and then going up again, that'd be unbelievable.
Leeds are playing a couple of times this week as well.
Yes,
how Leeds are going? Do you keep an eye on them? Do you get much love from Leeds supporters?
I do actually. I speak to a lot of people from Leeds still. Look, I think they'll be safe. But as you know, in the Premier League, there's no easy game. But Leeds is a fortress. I think they'll win the FA Cup. I think they'll beat Norwich.
They'll win the whole FA Cup.
They won't win the whole FA Cup. There's a game. They'll beat
this game.
I think they'll beat Norwich. I think Norwich will worry more about surviving the Championship. They've done great, but I think they'll worry about that. But I think they'll beat Sunderland. They've had a couple of decent results. They played well against Manchester City. Could have scored a few.
They did.
Unlucky.
Farke's doing a good job.
Especially
really well organised.
Especially from when he was first get sacked. I think they beat Liverpool.
Exactly.
I think they had a couple of good home results.
Every time there's a story that he might get sacked. He beats everyone. I reckon they're doing it on purpose now.
I think they'll beat Sunderland.
Did you find it in Leeds that because of the Australian history there, especially with Harry and Dukes, that you walked in there and there was that kind of, I don't know, strange little affinity there when you walked in the place?
It's crazy. Like, it's surreal to know that there's probably been about 10 Australians that have been there. And they've got...
Paolo was there as well,
There was Paolo, there was Jamie McAllister, Kensal Sheriff, Burnsy, Milosevic.
Danny. That's right,
so Danny Hay, I know, is New Zealander.
Brett Emerton was meant to go there. He went with Harry as a kid.
Danny Hay.
Who was Milosevic? Lubo.
The keeper.
Danny
Danny's back, yeah.
So Brett Emerton was meant to go. He went over with Harry as a kid.
Yeah.
But Brett Emerton got homesick and wanted to come home. He wasn't quite ready for it.
Yeah.
Harry was like, I couldn't wait to get out of
Really?
Smithfield.
Emma was there as well?
Yeah, and he came back and he obviously did his
for him
apprenticeship.
anyway.
He ended up.
I think there's a special place for Australians at Leeds. I think it'll always be respected.
Yeah.
You know.
It's great.
Might not have been homesick. He might have not been able to
Legends,
get a work permit or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
You see the thing last week about Dukes in his cafe?
In Croatia.
You would have been there, Boz, yeah. And
No, not in Zagreb.
Dukes with his
no.
hair, people
No.
were sharing it. It was on social media, it was on X. You know,
Right.
a lot of people all around the world, just Leeds fans everywhere. And he also played Celtic Middlesbrough in the line.
Yes.
Yeah, he's just there pulling a
got an
short
idea.
black, whatever. in his cafe.
Callum, producer, can you just organise a trip to Zagreb? We're going to do the show from Duke's Cafe. Paddy, you want to come?
I'm in.
Over there?
I'm in.
What a gentleman. You know what? The loveliest guy. You know,
and
what a player.
And how can you believe he's making coffees?
Yeah, it's
like
unbelievable.
it's crazy. A guy
Happens.
Oh, he's happy, mate. He seems
that,
happy.
you know.
Yeah, it happens.
What's next for you?
I don't know yet. We'll see.
Get you that
Resumes
coffee.
out there?
Nah, to be honest, just just spending some quality time with the family, friends, and enjoying life a little bit, and doing some learnings, looking at other things besides sort of football.
But looking another management role.
Yeah, of course.
You got your eye out.
I've said no to a couple of jobs. They just weren't right, like you said about
What we said before.
Know from the top,
No,
and you
well
learn
from
your
the
lessons only through making mistakes.
From experience,
So I just looking around and we'll see what happens.
There you go.
Mate, good luck with it. And
Yeah,
thanks for
good luck,
joining us today.
Thank you very
for
much.
coming on. It's been
done,
brilliant.
yeah.
It's been
Thank you.
a pleasure.
great.
Thank you very much.
For all your football betting markets and more, head to the Tab app. Tab, we're on.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
This has been another Stan Sport production.